Hello, guys. Good morning. Welcome to the session today. Hope you all can hear me, right? Can you guys confirm once? Okay, great. So let us start the session. So if you remember last time we have seen data proc, which was a cluster-based tool. If you wanted to run a Spark or Hadoop jobs, you can use the data proc. Okay, Dataproc was very similar to the Databricks and Azure Databricks. So where you can able to run Spark, PySpark jobs, Python jobs, Hadoop jobs, all of those things you can able to run it. And we have learned PySpark, where if you have some kind of a data in any other platform or in any other file format, we can able to easily, load the data and create that as a data frame, and then we have done the transformations and we have loaded it to the destination, right? Okay, so now we are going to learn about one more tool, that is data flow. Okay, so this is our data flow. So let me try to tell you what is data flow, and before telling you about the data flow, let me try to tell you this thing. Okay, so if we wanted to learn about the data flow, we must know data flow actually uses the Apache Beam as a programming model. Let us try to understand what is this Apache Beam. Okay, so first, let me tell you about Apache Beam. Okay, then we will come to the data flow. Apache Beam is a programming model, guys. How you have a Spark, for example, let me keep it here, Spark also. If I keep here Spark, how you have a in your, we have learned, right, in the data proc, Spark is a programming framework as well as Spark is a execution engine, both. Okay, so who have developed the Spark, they have given the same name for both of them. Like Spark is a programming model where it run the same code on the Spark execution engine. Okay, if I have to compare the Apache Beam with the Spark, okay, so what I can say is that both of them are the programming models. Okay, both of them are the programming models. Okay, so Apache Spark is a programming model. Likewise, uh, Apache Spark is a programming model. Likewise, Apache Spark and Apache Beam also a programming model. Okay, what we are going to do with this thing, sir? Here, if you wanted to do with the help of the Apache Spark or with the help of the Apache Beam, what we are going to do, sir? If you wanted to do the data processing, we can go for the Apache Beam. Okay. If you wanted to do distributed data processing, here also the same thing. Okay, I would just say data processing only. Data processing. If you need the Apache Beam, what we are going to do with this programming model, we are going to do the data processing. With this model also, we are going to do the data processing only. Both of them are same. Okay, and here also it is distributed. Distributed. Sorry. Distributed means what I mean by distributed. So, for example, if I give you some 100 GB, the Apache Beam, it is not a Apache Beam. What it will do is that, so you have some kind of a code, that a code will be running on a different I mean, whenever it is doing the data processing, the data is distributed, the data processing task also distributed, so that's how it works. So that means whatever the activity, whatever the processing that you are doing, right, it is distributed. Okay, here also the same thing. Distributed data processing, I would say. Okay, so Apache Spark provides you programming model for the distributed data processing. Apache Beam also provides you the programming model for the distributed data processing. Perfect. So what languages I can use it here, sir? What languages I can use it? If I wanted to work with the Spark data processing, sir, because Spark is a internal data processing code, I can't directly write the Spark code. So what I am going to do is that I am going to use the multiple languages so that I can able to write the Spark code, so that I mean Java or Python or Scala or R. So we usually say it as Python with Spark is PySpark, Java with the Spark is Java, and Spark Scala with Spark is Scala. So you can able to Spark is a programming language where the Spark engine can understand, but we may not be able to understand that code. So that's the reason human readable code is there, that is Scala, Java, Python, or R. So Spark applications, if you wanted to write your data processing applications, Spark provides you four languages, that is Scala, Python, Java, R. These are the four languages. So if you wanted to write your data processing applications using high-level APIs in languages, you can able to use Scala, Java, Python, R. This is not a new language. This is Python only. Okay. Yeah. And similarly, if you wanted to write your data processing applications or data processing, if you wanted to create your data processing pipelines, okay, so you can also use Python, Java, I think R, I believe. Okay, I think R is also there. I think it's not R, it's Go. So these are the languages that the Apache Beam supports. Python, Java, Go. Okay, so if you wanted to create a data processing applications, you can able to do this thing. Or if you wanted to create data processing pipelines, you can go with these languages. Okay, yeah. Sir, your code, the Spark code I have written with the help of the Spark programming model, and I have selected any of these languages like Python or Java, and where this code is going to run, sir. This code is going to run on. This code is going to run on Spark, Apache Spark engine. So Apache Spark is the execution engine. Okay, so whenever you are using the Apache programming framework, it includes its own execution engine itself. That is what we call as the Spark engine. Spark itself, it is a programming framework, as well as the Spark itself, it is the execution engine as well. So, but we have already seen how the Spark works. How, sir? So whenever you are running applications written using the programming models, it is going to run on the cluster of machines, right? This Spark execution engine going to work with the cluster of machines. Okay, so that is what. Now, but where this Apache Beam engine going to work? Sir, Apache Beam code is going to work on any engine. It does not have its own execution engine. It does not have its own execution engine. Okay, it does not have its own execution engine. Spark has its own execution engine. That is Spark engine. And Apache Beam does not have its own execution engine. That's the reason it is called as a engine agnostic, execution engine agnostic. That means it can run. So it's like this. It can run on any engine. It can run on any engine such as, sir, can you tell me examples? It can run on Spark engine. Example, it can run on the Spark engine, first thing. Okay. Apache Flink is there. Apache Samza is there. And one of the thing is data flow. One of the engine is data flow, or you can say that all this, usually the terminology will be, they are calling this as a runners, where the execution code is going to run. So Apache Beam does not have its own execution engine. Okay, Apache Beam does not have its own execution engine, but it is a execution engine agnostic. We call this as a execution engine agnostic. That means it can run its code on any of these engines. There are plenty of the engines that it can run on. So whatever the data processing framework, whatever the data processing engine you call, it can run its code on those things. Okay, how beautiful it is. So you write a code, it can run on any code, it can run on any engine. Okay, so this is what it is. Okay, and one more thing is, okay, so that is the reason what usually people say is that the portability of the code is very high. Portability. Portability means what, sir? Portability means you write your code, the code can run on any engine. Okay, you write your code, the code can run on any engine. Okay, but the portability of the Spark engine is not there. Why? Because the code is only going to run on the same engine, same Spark engine. You can't run your Spark code on any other engines. Okay, so less portable, comparatively less portable. Okay, yeah. And one more thing is also there. Whatever the whatever the code that you are writing, the code, the same code, you can use it for the both batch data processing as well as streaming data processing. You can use the same code for the batch data processing and stream data processing as well. Stream data processing as well. So that is the reason this name Beam comes from where, sir? The beam comes from, if you look at the beam comes from B from the batch, EAM from the beam. So that's the reason it can be used for both batch data processing as well as streaming data parallel processing. You can able to use it. So unified, that's the reason it is called as a unified programming model for the both batch and stream. So that is the reason it is called as unified. Why? Because the same code we are going to use it, the unified model for defining both batch data processing as well as streaming data parallel processing. Okay, you can build the same code, you can portable it, you can move it to the one more engine and you can run it. You can use the same code for the both streaming data processing as well as batch data processing. Okay, so this is what is total about the Apache Beam. Okay, you can't use the same code here, so you may have to do a lot of changes when you wanted to use the batch and stream, because batch and stream here, if you wanted to do it, the APIs are different. If you wanted to run streaming data, Spark streaming is different here, but it's not that like that. You can use the same code. Okay, so that's what it is. Okay, now tell me, sir, what is data flow? Now, what is data flow, sir? You see here, data flow is one of the execution engine, or the data flow is the runner to run the Apache Beam pipelines. It's a runner to run the Apache Beam pipelines. Okay, and one more thing is that the data flow is serverless. I'm to execute the Apache Beam pipelines. Right. This is what we have just learned. Okay. And one more point, sir. What is the one more point, sir? Data flow is a serverless. First thing, it is available in the Google Cloud Platform. It's a one of the service in the GCP. GCP serverless platform where you don't need to create any server. For example, if you look at the data proc, I'm going to differentiate the same thing for the data proc also. Okay, so here, if I give the same difference for the data proc and data flow, here if I mention data proc, okay, so data proc, what is data proc, sir? Data proc is to run Apache Spark and Hadoop jobs, right? To run Spark and Hadoop jobs, correct? And it is also one of the, but it's not serverless. That's the different point. It's not serverless. It's a managed GCP managed service. GCP managed service. What does that mean, sir? What does that mean? See, for example, when you are managing your infrastructure, you have to create your cluster to work with the data proc. So that means you are creating a server. That is, a cluster is nothing but a server to work with the data proc. But for the data flow, you don't need to create a server. It's a serverless platform. It is a serverless platform, no provisioning of. So that's the reason it is called as the auto provisioning of infrastructure resources or processing resources, I would say. Okay, what does that mean, sir? See, whenever you are running some kind of a code, whenever you are running some kind of a code, when you are running some pipeline, what it will do, whatever the resources required for the pipeline, all the things will be auto provisioned by the Google Cloud Platform. All the resources will be auto provisioned here. But in the data proc, no, that's not going to happen in the data proc because we need to create a cluster. Whatever the machines you have selected for the cluster, for example, if it is 3 machines, you have to use the data processing will be done in these 3 machines only. Okay, so no auto provision. Okay, no auto provision. Auto provision will not be there because you have already created your cluster of 3 machines. Whatever the pipeline it is running, it is going to utilize this cluster only. Okay, so this is what is the point about the data proc. Okay, in the data flow, you have a auto provisioning of resources. Here you do not have it because it's a cluster based tool, because it's a cluster of machines. Okay, and the next point what I can say, sir. Yes, what I can say is that auto provisioning, processing resources, cluster based, serverless platform, managed service to run this thing, to run that thing. Okay, all of those things are good. And Yeah, here what we can do, sir. Here also we can do data processing, batch data processing, and as well as stream data processing. Okay, the same thing here also you can do. Here also you can do batch data processing and streaming data processing. Okay, so it can be used as a ETL tool. So you can run here ETL jobs. Here also you can run the ETL jobs. No, it's fifth point. Sorry, we're gonna be dragging it down. Oh, Control Y. I'm gonna drag it down. So the fifth point can be I mean, Dataproc supports, you already know the languages, right? So Dataproc supports the same languages that the Spark supports, right? Because it's a runner. So you can use Python, Java, or Scala. So these are the languages that you can use. So Apache Beam, data flow based on Apache Beam only. So Apache Beam only supports Python SDK, Java SDK, Go SDK. These are the languages it supports. Okay. And one is serverless, one more is cluster based tool. So it's a managed service. That's also fine. I think so. When it comes to the cost is here the cost will be affected based on the resources utilized. Cost is based on the resources utilized. Okay, resources utilized because you are doing some kind of execution during the execution, I would say. During the execution, whatever the resources that the data flow is utilizing, right? So that is those actually define the cost here. Okay, the actual cost are based on the actual data processing resources used during the execution and during the job processing. Okay, but for the Google Data Pro, depends on costs are based on what, sir? Based on the size of the cluster you have provisioned. The size of the cluster. Size of the cluster, sir. So you have given the size of the cluster can be this many number of machines. This is the type of the configuration. That's how, right? So it depends on the size of the cluster mainly. Okay. So the data flow cost is associated because it's a serverless. You are not taking care of the resources here. 1 minute, please. Okay. The costs are resources utilized during the execution, and the data proc the cost is depends on the size of the cluster here. Okay. So the integration with all the Google Cloud resources, Dataflow and Dataproc both are the GCP resources only, the GCP services only, and you can able to integrate it with all other services easily. Okay, I think this is it, guys. You now understand some kind of a things. You already know the data proc. Now I have given a some because both data proc and data flow are the data processing engines. Okay, both are the data processing systems, I would say, instead of systems, I would say. Okay, so you can think of like data processing systems. Okay, when you know the data processing systems, you have two tools here. You have a one more tool also coming to the picture when we learn about one thing. Okay, this is one and this is two. Okay, both of them are the data processing systems. One is data flow and one more is data proc. Okay, so now let me try to tell you Apache Beam and Spark. Apache Beam is a programming model. Both Apache Beam and Spark are the programming models, data processing systems, distributed data processing programming frameworks. And here you use different languages. It does not have Apache Beam does not have an execution engine, and it is execution agnostic. It can run your code on the Spark links on the data flow, and Spark has its own execution engine, and it works with a cluster of machines. And the Apache Beam code is portable and it is less portable. It can run both. Here also, it's not like Spark cannot use the thing, right? So Spark will also, you can also use batch data processing. You can do the batch as well as streaming data processing as well. Okay. So this is all about Apache Beam and Spark, guys. I think I have tried to give you the difference properly so that now you understand, okay, which one you have to use according to your requirement. So if your use case, and it's like this, when to use which one, sir? Sir, it depends on your cost. It depends on your requirement of the task, and it depends on the framework that you need. It depends on your, you know, processing engine. Sir, my developers are already familiar with the Spark and Hadoop. Okay, my developers are already familiar with the Spark and Hadoop, and the data proc well suited for them, so that they don't need to learn the other languages or other frameworks. And if you wanted to run a long-lived cluster for repeating batch data processing, then you can go for the data proc. But the data flow, it is suitable if you wanted to create your ETL pipelines or a real-time analytics, and you can go for this one. And if you need a serverless platform, then you can go for the data flow. Okay, so it depends on your requirement mainly. Spark and Hadoop touch I need, sir. Then you can go for this data proc. Sir, I need a serverless platform. Then you can go for this one. Data flow is itself, it is a Google tool only, sir. Google has developed the data flow. Okay. Any questions, anyone? Yes. No, no, not like that. Not like that. So I'm going to tell you. See, BigQuery, it is a tool where we can collect the data, where we can store the data, where we can process the data, where we can transform the data, where we can analyze the data. BigQuery can be done, can be used for all of those things, but limited to the structured data processing. Structured. Okay. So you can write your queries to do the transformations. You can write your queries to clean up the data. You can write your queries to analyze the data. So BigQuery is where it comes up with the own storage layer and own processing layer. And it is limited to the structured. Yeah. Yes, some one more guy is also asking some question. Yes. Uh-huh. Actually, recent auto provision we can, it is not auto provision first thing, but a recent advancement is there for the data proc also. Let me check whether that is still updated, because they have mentioned the data proc serverless platform also, but that's many people does not use it because data proc they wanted a flexibility to use the cluster, so that's the reason they are using this one. Let me go and select. Are not coming. Okay. Data procs. If you have might have explored right on the left side, you have a data proc submit also. Let me show you. See auto scaling somewhere it will be okay. Somewhere it will be like serverless. Yeah, you can see here. So you can also create a serverless platform also. It can also be serverless, but most of the time people will not be using it. Okay. So there is a serverless option also in the Dataproc, which was recently, it's in a beta, right? Beta period. It's in still updating period. Okay. Recently also they have introduced. Okay. And if you wanted to increase your number of machines in the cluster, you can also increase it. That's also possible. Okay, and it is via some proper information, but mostly Dataproc is a cluster where people wanted need to have a some kind of a you know uh, flexibility. Okay, they need a some kind of flexibility, so that's the reason the cluster based tools are heavily used. Yeah, any other questions? You have to click on it. You have to click. We will be having edit option. Okay, we will be having edit option always. So you can actually, if this is started right, you will be able to see some edit option also here. Try it out. Okay, once the cluster is started, you'll be able to see some edit option also. Okay, yeah, you can always change your configuration later. Any other questions? Yeah, yeah, I'm sending you. Of course, I will send you. So I will give you the that difference is also there. I will tell you the task. I mean, why the service purpose. That why what is the main use of this one? Okay, this is also it will also be there, and I will also send you one more. There is a notebook, one notepad is also there. I will send you that also. Of course, I will add it here. Okay, so guys, for you, if I have to say Apache Beam, it is a programming model and batch data processing, and these are the languages that it supports, these are the runners that it supports, and this is what is the data flow. And now I wanted to define how this program works. So for example, you create your driver program, right? Create your own driver program, okay, using the Beam SDK. Like you use the languages in the Spark also, you create some program. Here also, you create some program. That is what we call as a, that program may be having some inputs, some transformations, some outputs, and some pipeline options. Pipeline option like which runner, because in the Spark you do not have any kind of a issue with the pipeline options, because why, sir? I am using my runner as a Spark only. I can run my Spark code only on the Spark engine, but for the data flow, it is for the Apache Beam. It is not like that. It has its own runner, and if you wanted to use the batch streaming or all of those things, you can mention here. Okay, it will be like this. So it will be like this. So for example, in the Spark you create some program, and that is also called as a driver program only. Okay, each program whenever you are running the driver program, in the Spark also you will be having a driver program. In the Apache Beam also you'll be having its own driver program. That driver program in the Spark, okay, in the Spark the driver program will consist of inputs, Spark transformations. I think somewhere I'll be having it. This. Yeah, here it is. Actually, it is here. Okay, you can see here. Okay, so Spark programming model has written in Python, Java, Go R. So you create your code. That code is running on the Dataproc. Dataproc is a managed service and it is used for the big data processing. Likewise, Apache Beam is also one of the programming model. You write your code in these languages and it can run your code on the data flow or any other Samza, all of those things. It can only limited to the Spark engine, but this code is limited. This Apache Beam code is not limited to the data flow. It can run on the Spark code also and many things. And it is a serverless platform and it is for the big data processing. Okay, in the Dataproc, what happens? Okay, in the Dataproc, you create your Spark code using this one. A Spark pipeline consists of Spark with some programming language. So we are using the Spark with Python. And in the data flow also Beam pipeline we call it as. This is a Spark pipelines, this is a Beam pipelines. Beam pipeline will consist of Beam with one programming language. Beam is a programming model and Python is a human readable programming language. Okay, so you will Beam framework with the Python programming language. What you are going to do, if you have some source in the Spark, if you have some source, you create that as a data frame. A data frame is nothing but similar to a table where the actual data exists. And then you do some transformation one, and you create a data frame two. You do one more transformation two, and you create a data frame two. Finally, you write it to the destination. Perfect. Similarly, in the Beam pipeline also, you have a source. Instead of data frame, they call it as a P collection one. P collection one. P means parallel connection where actual data exists. Okay, P collection one. It will be in the form of a tuple format. Okay, the data frame will be in the form of a tabular format. It will be in the form of a tuple format. And you apply a transformation one, P transform. P collections and P transform. P collection is nothing but a parallel collections where the data exists. It is nothing but a data set or a data stream. Data set is nothing but a fixed data. Data stream is nothing but a unlimited data. P collections are nothing but a data set or a data string. Fixed data and unlimited data. P transformation, nothing but a transformation logic. But these transformations are parallel, so that's the reason parallel transformation, P transform. Again, you create a P collection two, you apply a P transform, again you create a P collection two, so that is how you write it to the destination. Okay, the nomenclature is different, the activity is same. P collections, data frames, P transform, transform. Okay, so this is how it is. Okay, so finally, just I will try to give you some definition for the P collection and P transformation, and then leave it for you. P collection, you can see you. Yes, P collection. It represents a distributed multi-element data set that the B. Think about the P collection, nothing but a P collection is nothing but a data frame. Data frame, what we will be having? A data in the form of a table. In the P collection also, it is a multi-element data set where the Beam pipeline operates on. P data frame is something. It is also a data set where the data is in the form of a tabular or a structured manner where the Spark pipeline is operating on. And P collections are immutable. Data frames also immutable. You can't change the state of the data frame. If you're trying to apply some transformations on the P collection, it results in creation of a one more P collection. Exactly similar to the data frame. right? Element type. The elements in the P collection may be of any type, but all must be same type. All must be same type. You see here, sir, the element type, the P collection may be of any type, but all must be same type. Okay? It can be like string or integer or whatever, but all must be the same. Operation type. P collection does not support grained operations. We cannot apply the transformation on specific elements in the P collection. Okay, you can't apply some specific transformation on a specific elements on the P collection. Bounded and unbounded P collections. An unbounded P collection represents the data of unlimited size. Bounded P collection, there are two types, sir. One is bounded P collection, one more is unbounded P collection. Bounded P collection is nothing but the data is fixed size. Unbounded means data of unlimited size. That's it. And P collection is owned by some specific pipeline which is created, and it cannot be shared the P collection with one more pipeline. If you have a two pipelines cannot share a single P collection. Okay, so P collection is owned by a specific pipeline object only. Multiple pipelines cannot share a P collection. Okay, yeah. So very simple, sir. These are all the definitions are same as data frame only. Data frame is nothing but a data set. P collections are also nothing but a data set. The data set can be a limited size or unlimited size. Limited size nothing but an unbounded P collection. Limited size means bounded P collection. Unlimited size means unbounded P collection. P collections are immutable. Nothing but I cannot be able to change it. If you are trying to change it, applying a transformation, one more P collection will be created. Element type. The elements in the P collection may be of any type, but all the same type. Operations. You cannot do the grained operations. Bounded or unbounded P collections. Data fixed size, data of unlimited size. P collections are owned by the specific pipeline object only. Multiple pipelines cannot be able to share the same P collection. Okay? Yeah. And next thing is P transform. In your data PySpark also, we apply some operation, right, for the logic transforming the data like concatenation, joining, aggregation, adding a one more column. All of those things are like data processing operation. P transform is nothing but a data processing operation or a step in pipeline. So there are plenty of transformations are there. So these we are going to learn one by one. Map transformation, flat map, filter, lambda, pod, do, group by key, combine per key. Okay, all of these transformations we are going to learn one by one. Okay. Okay, so this is how there are plenty of the transformation. A transformation is something but one logic you have, you wanted to apply to get some kind of a requirement. So that is what. Apache Beam notebook. How we have a notebook when we created a cluster, right? The cluster comes up with a notebook, but here we have to create a notebook and we work with the data flow here. So that I will tell you how to create a notebook and how we can able to do the how we can able to write our code and how we can able to do the data processing. All of those things we will learn. Okay. Any other questions? Just go through all of these things. You have a this one. I don't want to mention it like this. Okay, on-prem. This is cloud. Okay, I'm going to remove this thing. It's a bit confusing for you. I'll just add these steps here. Just remove it. I'll add the steps here to for the difference purpose. So this is what is the difference, guys. Okay, so you can actually go and check it one by one. You have all the information here. Check it, and it will give you very good information. Yes, I'm telling you, all the information being pipeline will be like this. Data source will be there. You apply some transformation, you create a collection one. You apply one more transformation, you create a collection. Apply one more transformation, loading it to the destination. Okay, so this is how the beam pipeline looks like. Go through all of these things, guys. Go through all of these things. A lot of information I have provided here. Go through all of these things, which gives you a very good understanding. And then you can also go through this thing, and someone asked me to keep that difference, right? So I'm going to keep the difference also here. Okay. This is one difference. This is one difference. Okay. Okay, and likewise, one more also we have.